Hi. So today we're discussing a question that I've often heard, not just in my email box, but also on videos about people who committed violent acts. For example, on infographics and The Casual Criminalist, as done by the one and only Simon Whistler, who is like 90% of YouTube. Boy, howdy, that bearded mug and that giant skull are everywhere. Anyway, so why do many people who are serial killers or other violent people have brain injuries? It's a good question. Epilepsy also tends to get thrown in there along with mental illness. And this is where correlation and causation come into play. So I brought up this so that I can quickly read things off for you. I will, of course, write the definitions here. Hi. Hello, editing Beth. You're going to have some work to do. Okay. Between correlation versus causation. Now, they can exist at the same time. So let's say that I'm a perfectly reasonable human being. Just hopping through life. Oh, but I'm dating this guy who's a bit of an idiot and also kind of aggressive and horrid and rather abusive. Okay, that actually can sometimes lead into a person having problems that they take out on others later, but not always. I have a traumatic brain injury as a result of abuse. That is, he got drunk, he got into a fight with his friends, this abusive man I was dating. And I received the brunt of it and hit the back of my skull on the sidewalk. This causing a traumatic brain injury, which later led to me being diagnosed with epilepsy. You see where we're going with this? Okay, so, but, I have not actually killed anyone. I don't want to even think about causing violence. So obviously, it's not like I'm rare. It's that those people who are violent can find themselves with a lack of those little things that keep us from hurting other people or from, I don't know, acting in a way that is inappropriate to the situation. Now, for example, everyone has that one person in their lives where every little thing that they do makes them want to scream. Everyone has that person, whether it's they sing at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're a morning person. No, really, it means good morning. The sun goes over the horizon. They are too peppy about really bizarre things. They're judgmental. Just something about them triggers anger every time that they move. Some people will call this Becky eating cracker syndrome, where every little thing, including making a crunching sound or just in general existing, makes you say, look at that Becky eating crackers like she owns the place. We've all got that person. And on bad days, we might accidentally let loose and tell them, hey, I don't like you right now, or even, would you stop? Everyone. So, what is correlation? What is causation? By the way, in dealing with that person that you're Becky, I'm trying to keep this a family channel. So I'm really doing my best not to swear because I have a rather profane mouth sometimes. Okay, so correlation and causation can exist at the same time. but they don't imply one another. So, people love patterns. I love patterns. I will, okay. So cause A causes the situation or the outcome B. Head hit sidewalk. Of course, the first thing that you're probably going to feel is blood and extreme pain. But what about afterwards? What can this cause? Well, your brain gets jiggled. It don't jiggle. It's not meant to jiggle. It's supposed to fold. Sorry. So basically, causation explicitly goes to places where action A leads to outcome B. A, head hit cement. B, person who owns that noggin has extreme pain, may have some blood, and there will be damage, which can cause epilepsy. So there was causation. Correlation. Okay, so people tend to talk about this. Like in the winter, people might spend more money in bookstores. Not mostly because it's freezing cold, so they might go inside and they might want a coffee. Okay, so I have my little cold weather coffee here. They also might want a book to go with their coffee. If you give a Beth a coffee, she's going to want a book. Okay, so, but that doesn't necessarily mean that cold weather causes more spending. More like cold weather causes you to make a decision to walk into a bookstore to stay toasty and maybe even grab a drink that might help you feel toasty. And you, of course, would end up spending more money. And a lot of people will have the same basic idea. And thus, but you're looking for explicit causes between this point and this point, A versus B. Because that's what a cause is. I got mad because Becky is making really loud chewing noises right next to me. Okay? So that particular behavior that she might not even realize exists might be causing me to become furious with her and hold it in, because that's what I do. Now, if I, for example, I don't know, give her a light swat, no, bad. Violence, bad. Okay? The problem is, in some cases, a person has been really never taught. So what about serial killers with head injuries? Okay, we have someone, let's say, who was never taught that violence is wrong, and that's all they've ever seen. Or they're told violence is wrong, but they see the exact opposite and how it gets the other person things. So they think, well, obviously, this must be the right way because look, they're getting what they want. So obviously, this must actually be a good thing. Because people who are exposed to horrible things may not act in accordance with morals. Morals, of course, can change depending on culture, etc., and sometimes what is morally correct isn't always legally correct and vice versa. Anyway, so, but why? Well, there are a lot of people who, when they've been hurt, tend to want to hurt others because this is, of course, how they're going to make themselves feel good. Some people have that. So some people in their personalities will be, I am going to hurt someone, or I'm going to like this horrible thing and I'm going to make other people hurt because it makes me feel good. So there's choice. Okay, non-murdery example, I guess, non-violent example. If I eat a wheat product, I will be barfing my eyeballs out. So the wheat, the rye, the barley cause me to barf or other things uncontrollably. Therefore, there's the causation. Whether or not this very loud person who make chewing noises is sitting next to me is completely unrelated, but it might feel like this is part of why I'm not feeling well. That I had my really awful lunch that I know I'm going to pay for ruined by this grotesque person. Right? Okay, so but we're still at not, why are they? Well, keep in mind, so you have the differences between moral codes, you have examples. You might just have someone who does not feel the same way. They don't really feel guilt or hurt or anger like we do. Or they feel it too much. And then they take it out on other people, because some people do that. They feel better when they can put that onto another person. So just because you have a head injury or a neurological disorder or even a psychological disorder does not mean you're going to go out and hurt someone. You might actually be a very, very nice person, a very loving person who just happens to have this problem. But you might also have joggled a different part of your brain that keeps you from being able to stop yourself before you do something terrible. Let's say the frontal lobe. You might, instant gratification, for example, if for some people, if hurting someone will give them a reward of some kind, but they don't have the ability to keep themselves. And that's not saying that these people aren't morally correct. What happens is they have all of this. Then they have a choice that they make. And I don't want to go really, really moralistic here, but some people kind of enjoy making other people suffer. And, well, that's not okay, but we've all dealt with that person. But maybe there's something going on in their brain that says, well, I suffered, so this person has to suffer along with me, which is also not okay. And it's a whole thing. And there are so many other things that need to go together. And so it becomes extremely complex. People make a choice, or in the spur of the moment, something happens. Someone feels like they have just reached their end and there's no way out and someone's going to hurt them. They might react accordingly. There are different types of criminals. There are different types of criminal behaviors. But just having a head injury or a psychological disorder is not going to cause you to be a killer or a robber or whatever. And yeah, morals still exist, although sometimes what is moral isn't always going to be legal, and sometimes what is legal is really, really wrong. So, but basically, it isn't causation to say that that the winter makes you buy more books, although I wish. It is, however, causation that the cold will make you want to take shelter. And some people want to take shelter around things that they like. It isn't causation that a person gets a head injury and then murders their next door neighbor or 30 other people. It might be causation that they were taught that you have to step on people to get anywhere, and that they find that violence works for them. Or they just might be a massive jerk without really, and herein lies the problem. What is moral? What is legal? Is it okay? Does it let you off the hook? if you're doing bad things because you don't feel good? Or is that just, well, it mitigates it slightly, but you still did terrible things. And if you know they're bad, you must be punished for doing said terrible thing. See how that works? It's still confusing.